This is Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, A-Q-U-I-N-O.
Transsexual.
Well, he's much worse than that. And so I'll get into that a little bit, but he's the expert that does MK Ultra torture, mind control. He likes to sexually abuse, torture, murder children on film. And the police in San Francisco raided his home with a search warrant and found his home videos. And his home videos, of course, was him torturing and murdering children. They had all the evidence against him, but because he's a CIA officer, they couldn't arrest him. They had to notify the FBI. And the FBI came in, told the chief of police, destroy all records on Aquino. This is in '87. Why? Because this involves national security. And it was okay for CIA officers to go on torturing and murdering children, and even worse things than just torture and murder.
Intelligence agencies have infiltrated and created some satanic groups, with the resurgence of these groups beginning in 1966, particularly with the birth of the Church of Satan, founded by Antón LaVey. LaVey studied criminology in San Francisco and worked in the San Francisco Police Department Crime Lab. He also worked as an informant for Interpol. Prior to the Church of Satan, LaVey ran a group called the Magic Circle. LaVey's most famous associate is the National Security Agency General Michael Aquino. At the time of his membership in LaVey's group, Aquino was an Army specialist in intelligence and psychological warfare. In 1973, he became the executive officer of the 306th Psychological Operations Battalion, contemporary with his founding of the Church of Set. General Michael Aquino wrote, "From PSYOP to Mind War, the Psychology of Victory." Aquino's thesis stated that enemy populations could be subdued by inflicting a state of psychological terror and feelings of imminent destruction. He discusses the use of psychotronic weapons or electromagnetic weapons that influence the mind. Capitulation could be induced without firing a shot by extremely low-frequency signals piggybacked on broadcasts of radio, TV, or microwave communications in order to influence and manipulate the thoughts and feelings of the target population. During the 1960s, he was prominent in the Church of Satan and a close friend of Antón LaVey until he started his own Church of Set. A police intelligence report dated July 1, 1981 reads, quote, "The Church of Set is a group of hundreds of members that operates on a national level. Michael Aquino is the official head and rules through a council of 9 who are in fact his lieutenants." Unquote. At least 2 members of the Council of 9 at that time were members of Army intelligence. In the late 1980s, Aquino was accused by the San Francisco Police Department of being involved in a satanic child molestation ring centered on the daycare at the Presidio military base where Aquino was stationed at the time. Probable victims numbered at 68, many of whom had contracted venereal disease. 22 families filed $66 million in claims against the Army, claiming that criminal charges against Michael Aquino were dropped due to pressure from the Army. General Aquino admitted to renting the German castle where the Nazi SS were formed and reenacting the secret ceremony among fellow intelligence officers dressed in full Nazi regalia. General Aquino is now the highest-ranking officer in the National Security Agency, along with General Black and General Hayden. It is important to remember that General Aquino is first and foremost a military intelligence officer with over 40 years' experience in counterinsurgency operations and an expert in psychological warfare.
800 of Aquino's victims came forward from 8 states and said, "That's the one that tortured me. That's the one that sodomized me. That's the one that mind controlled me." And I witnessed him do many human sacrifices. So here we had witnesses, and yet FBI came in every time and shut down the investigations, destroy all records. This involves national security. I've talked to 2 cops that in San Francisco after Polyclass was kidnapped. And we knew it was a retaliation for us exposing Aquino and this stuff in our county. And they said, our chief told us that because of what the FBI told them. So anyway, I want to show you this because here are written documents by 2 men who have seen Aquino do a human sacrifice at Bohemian Grove, risking their lives. They're victims of CIA mind control, programming them to go out and commit crimes. As little children, they were raised this way, and they're risking not just their lives, they're risking their children, their nieces, their nephews, all their loved ones' lives to help stop what happened to them. Very brave men. So now we have 3 men living in 3 states who've never met each other, all saying the same thing about Aquino. Okay, and one of them, of course, is in the Franklin cover-up. This is Johnny Gosh. Okay, this is his mother's book, Why Johnny Can't Come Home. Aquino paid $15,000 for his kidnap. And 2 people witnessed that, who come forward now and reported that we were there, and yes, Aquino paid $15,000 cash for Johnny. He was used as a child sex slave from 12 until 22, and went to his mother about 15 years after he was kidnapped and said, "Mom, I can't stay. We're fearful for our lives for being here. We're fearful for your life. You can't even tell people what we're telling you." But the bottom line is that the only reason I'm alive today is because you kept going on television, kept going on talk shows and radio and television, nationwide, Congress and everything. And so people would come in and pay extra money to have sex with me, even though I wasn't a child anymore.
He would go right through the guard shack. They didn't stop him for anything. Didn't matter who he had with him.
Okay, so it kind of implies that he was well known there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Rusty, in your time with him around Larry King, did you ever see or know about any kind of cooperation that he may have had with any kind of government agencies, i.e. CIA or any of these other agencies that might be involved in some kind of covert activity?
Oh, yeah. Michael Aquino was a colonel in, what was it, Army or... He
was in the Army.
He had various ties to, like you said, the CIA and the FBI, things like that.
Yeah. How much did Satanism play into the picture there? Was that a big part of it? What was it all about?
A lot of that centered around Michael Aquino. The Omaha World Herald was run by Harold Anderson.
Okay.
He had a farm place outside of Omaha, and they would go out and have various things out at that farm. Okay.
You're talking about ritualistic kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the kids were brought out there, the ones that were kidnapped. That farmhouse played an important role.
So you'd surreptitiously shoot photographs?
Yes, I
okay.
would do it for the purpose of basically having to protect my own butt. It's what Gary Caradori got killed over, was those pictures. The pictures I was getting were to get basically who's who and what's what. The kids they'd get them tooted up, and boys on boys, old men with boys. Occasionally they'd have girls. It was a lot of times the younger ones.